you're ready for my disclaimer.
Right now.
Hi, you're watching the raw, unedited version of the Sunday Morning Linux Review. If you wish to watch or actually listen to our final version, please go to smlr.us. Thank you.
On board. It's on board.
Is it set up?
Is it booted up?
The Sunday Morning Linux Review with Mary Tomich, Tom Lawrence, and Tony Bemis as the Beaver.
And I think we have a problem with our live streaming. Hold on.
We're going to have to redo that then?
And why aren't we getting levels? Awesome. Now, let's see. Okay, now it's coming through. All right.
Are we going to start again?
Just with the intro.
The Sunday Morning Linux Review with Mary Tomich, Tom Lawrence, and Tony Bemis as the Beaver.
And this is episode 198.
Snappy or flat. And we're not talking about beer.
All right, this is Tony Bemis.
Mary Tomich.
And Tom Lawrence.
And today, it's been a few weeks away since our last recording, our last episode that was released. It's been 3 weeks since we recorded.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like...
so we're happy to be back, I think is what Tony's saying.
Yeah. And if you're watching the YouTube video, the studio looks a little bit different once again. They here at Podcast Detroit finally, not finally, but they have all three studios set up. So we are in studio number 2 right now.
We're in a foam rubber studio.
Yes. And Bob and Dave went a little crazy with the, what do you call that?
The
foam stuff.
Sound
dampening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look, it's green and gray
checkerboard. So
yeah.
you're not going to be able to do any green screen work in here at all. But maybe blue screen. Not to be confused with blue screen of death.
Right.
Anyway, but yes, it looks, as Tom was indicating, it looks quite, it actually looks sort of professional, but it's a kind of garish and a little bit garish.
It looks like my office because I have the same colors in my office because I like these colors.
Okay.
Green and black.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right. So anyway, should we talk a little bit about why we called it, people know why we called it snappy or flat.
If you haven't been under a rock, you've heard the argument about snappy or flat, and we're going to talk a little bit about those things.
Mm-hmm.
Because, they're important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all about standards. And why multiple standards, we just can't seem to get away from them.
There's multiple distros. We can have multiple standards, even though one might be better than the other.
Okay. All right, Tom. All right. So what's going on since we last recorded? So, Tom, what interesting techie, open sourcey things did you do? Or what just interesting things did you do?
Interesting things. We put in over at a place you might be familiar with, Detroit City FC Keyworth Stadium.
Yes.
They are now
I was there last night.
Yes. They are now completely covered in Wi-Fi. We mounted on those towers there, all outdoor Wi-Fi units. So,
I saw one last night and I thought, hey, there's Wi-Fi here.
There's Wi-Fi there. You can't have the password.
Excellent.
I'm sorry.
So
hopefully you're there watching the game anyways.
So. Is it you have to pay to have it, or
what they're doing is it's just for the media and the press box because they need to be able to stream stuff and get stuff on faster. It's also there's a vendor one we set up. We actually set up 3 different networks, and there's a vendor network there too, so you can swipe your credit card and buy shirts and all kinds of cool stuff.
Okay, and the Detroit City Football Club is our minor league soccer club that is got a rabid. And they could be ravenous too for all the jumping around they do. They've got a supporter group called the Northern Guard, which they are so fun to watch. Yeah. I'll tell you. I was at the game last night, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I was there. I was there pre-games. I went to double checks. They had some. We had a unit burn out one of the not one of the Ubiquiti units that we used, but one of the switches burned out. I just
You were there yesterday?
Really?
I was there yesterday before the game. It burned out, and they had problems during the last game on one section of the Wi-Fi because we ran all outdoor cabling out there. It was kind of a big project to wire that place up, but it was fun. Got it all done. Kind of a cool thing. I have a video to do on that because I realize a lot of people don't know how to do Wi-Fi assessment and how to plan some of that. So I was going to show how we plan it, which is kind of simple. We actually bring units when we go to places to spec it out. It's really that simple. Wow. I mean, the software is pretty cool that you can use to plot out Wi-Fi, and then you can say like, this is a drywall, this is a wood construction, and it'll do heat maps. But we actually just show up with a handful of Wi-Fi units and put them where we think they work best, and then go measure the signal. And that honestly works really, really well. And I'm like, yep, we got coverage. And so we know we need this many units, and we stock them. So it just makes it a little bit easier.
And based on that stadium, and the unit that I saw on the phone pole there, and I don't know if that was on the south end or east end, whatever.
All the ends.
Yeah. The folks in the press box or whoever's going to be using it should get a very good signal because there's not a lot of walls between.
And we put one dedicated inside the press box too.
Okay.
We put a smaller indoor one inside the press box, and then we put the outdoor ones all around. So
yeah, that makes sense.
They're covered.
Yeah.
Well, it's excellent. That's excellent.
That was one fun thing.
And I saw somebody, speaking of that, because I was going to talk about that. They were out there doing some commentary, and I had not seen them do that before. And I'm thinking that may have been a result of the efforts that you guys did that enabled them to then stream that.
They're going to be doing like some Facebook Live stuff, I believe, and using all the latest tools so they can start publishing more. I've actually seen this used interesting. One of my clients is the people over at the Dragway. And they set up, even in the early days, they went and stuck a phone between the drag racers at the Dragway and turned it on Facebook Live because it notifies everyone what's going on. So they did that, and people could actually just live stream and watch drag racing. When I thought about it, I'm like, that's really clever. They just popped the phone on and hit the live button, and it's good way to get the notice out. So that's the same thing with some of the soccer stuff. It's like you want to watch it, they use post a few things, post a few clips, and Wi-Fi makes it really easy to do that.
And they had a drone out there last night.
That's cool.
Yeah, I saw the drone. I was going to take a little video of it, but I was too busy doing some other stuff. But yeah, so it came in and was kind of flying around.
I counted 4 drones yesterday at the fireworks.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. My father-in-law thought there was UFOs at first.
We've seen 4 UFOs.
Right.
So there's that, and then we seen the drones at the with the car show yesterday. I went to the Downriver Cruise.
How was that?
Entertaining as always.
Yeah.
People spinning wheels, smoking tires, and watching the police chase them around. And
jeez.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of how it goes. Then that's entertaining. Took the kids, and then I took my motorcycle, rode around the cruise. My son rode with me so he could get more close to the cars and the loudness and the craziness at a safe distance. So get helmets on. And
yeah, that's nice.
It was fun. Other things, other projects. Just lots of miscellaneous little stuff, redoing website things and just trying to organize everything because I'm working on how I'm going to organize. I have a lot of little side projects I don't blog about because they're maybe tech related, but not related to my business. So I'm working on putting, I'll put a blog together where I just document all of it. One, I want to document for myself. And I put some of it on my YouTube channel, but I also, I kind of want to do a write-up with it because that'll make it easier to find. So I'll embed my YouTube channel both in my business blog for when it's more business related, but I'll same YouTube channel, but then I'll have another blog I'm going to work on where I document just random stuff so that I'm tech related, open source related. We trying to make a little more headway with open sourcing my point of sale system. Then he looked at the code. He's like, Tom? I'm like, yeah. He goes, this is kind of messy. I'm like, well, I knew it was messy. And this guy, my programming friends, has some free time. And he's like, yeah, this is bad.
Oh, no.
So he's like, I can't believe it works. And I showed him, right now, I think we've got about 19,000 invoices. And one of the options is to do a contextual search. So I can search for one phrase inside of there. And it takes 0.01 seconds to search. And he goes, He goes, as messy as the code is, that really impresses me that it can absolutely index everything that fast. I said, the guy that wrote it,
fast.
I said, the guy that wrote it did an amazing job when it comes to speed. And he's like, asked me like framework questions. Like, no, it literally is PHP coded by hand. It is not built on a framework at all.
Wow.
And he's just like, that's why it's so fast, because he wants to, bring it on and build it on top of a framework and build it. But he did warn me he's afraid he would lose the speed with all the data I keep in there. And I'm like, that's one of the advantages that he has. I mean, I'm running on just a quad core AMD with 512 megs of RAM assigned to my point of sale and a virtualization with 5 other virtual machines, and it's that fast.
Now the bad calling the code bad, or that it looked bad, it was not really from a security standpoint. It's just from you know how people should comment code. You should do this.
There's no comments.
There's efficient ways to.
There's some profanity in the comments because it says, I don't know. And one of them is, I'm not sure this should work and I should fix it later, but it works for now. That's the kind of comments that are in there.
Really? That's funny.
Well, sometimes we just kept, hammering away at it and just making things happen. But and
then what? And I don't know about you, but the very few times that I've played around with PHP trying to get something to work, once it works, it's kind of like you don't want to touch it because it works.
Like, I think I'm done debugging.
I think I have it.
So there's all that. And I've also been working on more, as I've built and spun up more servers, I'm looking at, and this is maybe a good review I'm going to put together too. I know there's other ones out there, but I'm going to do it from my learning perspective of simplicity of there's like, Ansible and Puppet. I'm looking at ways to make it easier to automatically update all these systems, keep them secure, and keep them solid. I'm kind of looking at what the different options are for that. I've set up I didn't even know there was a special package in Debian-based systems for unattended upgrades.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you just run it. You don't have to do anything. You literally apt-get install unattended upgrade. That is the command, and then you just put a cron job that runs unattended upgrade and automatically runs security updates. Nice. That's it. There's no like thought process. There's no config. And if you add a command line switch, it'll update everything. And I might just do that. But I'm looking at all. I want to make sure I've explored some of the options, and I'll probably do a little write up on it. It'd be something we're talking about. Because as you start getting all these servers, because I like every server running an independent virtual machine to keep. It's a security thing, Our remote support software, Screen Connect. I'm sure it's secure. It's not that I know of. It's never had a hack. It's never had any major flaws, but it is a closed source product. So I run it on its own independent virtual machine. That way I no worries about, if someone were to break it, they would be sandboxed into just that. I mean, granted, you have root access to my remote server, which would be horrible, but at least you're in one server, not in my backup server, not in my mail server, not in any of the other individuals. And none of them have the same password before anyone throws it out there to me.
Yeah,
that is a complicated thing to have different passwords for all the servers, but and I got keys for all of them.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yes.
Is that one of them?
I do put the tinfoil hat on for security a little bit, so
right.
That's good.
Oh yeah, that's a good thing.
Yep, that's about it. So,
wow, well that's a lot.
That's yeah. Other than just getting sunburned, bike riding, and all the other things I do.
Bike isn't bicycle?
Bicycle.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I've been doing 50, 60 mile trips trying to get in shape. My cardio is still awful. I need to work on that. I have the distance. I have no problem going that far. I can't go that far fast.
Oh yeah.
So I'm thinking that's affecting me a little bit. So I'm trying to figure out a new routine where I actually start doing something that raises my cardio each day. Because most of my day does not raise my cardio.
Right.
Yeah, that's important.
Unless I'm ranting about something, but I don't think that counts.
Yeah.
All right, Tony.
All right. Yeah. Well, in the last few weeks, I did some binge watching of a TV show that I'd been hearing about, but I hadn't really seen it. And it's
genius.
Yeah, Silicon Valley. And it's on
TNT.
TNT.
I heard you talking
HBO.
about it. I
It's
now
HBO
I want to
show.
watch it.
Yeah, it's really funny. So you gotta check that out. And what they're in the middle of their 3rd season right now, and
they're renewed for a 4th.
Are they?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think just on the release, like how they get to see it before it's actually released, I think that was enough before they did it public. Like, yeah, you guys got a 4th season. You're good.
Yeah. So basically, it's with a guy that starts up a business or a company, a software startup, whatever, and it's just all the stereotypes of Silicon Valley and billionaires and blah blah blah. So it's pretty funny.
Now, a quick little piece of trivia. They actually, I think it was Showtime, tried writing the same show prior to Silicon Valley.
Really?
Yeah, you can find it on Netflix, and you barely make it through the first episode going, this is like the biggest pile of not funny.
Really?
It's so funny. They got the same characters, the same stereotypes of these awkward people muddling through life, but they just don't deliver anything funny.
Mm.
And they did such, and Mike Judge of the famous Beavis and Butthead is the producer and show writer for Silicon Valley.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And of course, Office Space is which a lot of people know him for. He's got his he doesn't do a lot of interviews, but if you learn about the guy, he I think it's NVIDIA he worked for a long time. He was a code writer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he worked in corporate America, he worked in Silicon Valley. He's got a lot of insight into the office lifestyle and poking fun at it.
That's funny.
Great show though. I highly
Where did he
recommend
work?
it. I think he worked at NVIDIA.
Huh. Okay. Where's that
She's
located?
trying to get you to say Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley.
You were saying Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley. Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
but Tom,
it's
that is so
probably
funny,
that
though.
too.
But that,
Wait, that's LA.
I know you're doing that on purpose. Yeah, I was gonna say I know you're doing that on purpose because it's so clever.
Yes.
And your humor is very clever. I know. I heard that. I started laughing to myself.
Right.
But you're right.
So how's your arm doing, Tony?
It's actually doing really good.
I mean, he's got to be back to normal by now, or
almost back to normal.
Cool.
I'm at a 25-pound weight limit. And so that's, 25. So I can lift 50-pound items now. So I can lift my kids now and carry them around. But the problem is they fall asleep in the back of the van. I can get them out of the seat and carry them in the house. But then if I try to take their shoes off without setting them down, I have to hold one of them in the one arm. And that's not working out.
So they went to bed with shoes.
Right. Well, I took them off after
The
their.
important thing is you didn't drop any of them, right?
Still drop the
That's
kids
right.
and you're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, most things I do don't require lifting over 25 pounds with one arm.
Mhm.
So I'm practically back to normal, and it's supposed to be after the 6-month mark is when I'm at full capacity again.
Well, a 48 port switch doesn't weigh that much. So I think you're good.
Yeah. Actually, it's about 25 pounds.
Right on the edge.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's right on the edge. So I can still rack my own switch now. And,
Okay.
But the one thing I noticed, and now you just threw me off. Where was I going with that?
I think you were talking about a switch, a 25-pound switch.
No, that's what threw me off.
All right.
I don't know.
As long as you don't drop when you're good.
Right.
That may or may not have happened.
Well, we're talking about your arm strength, right?
Right. Yeah. It's getting back to normal. I've already noticed that that one arm is definitely stronger than the other, and you can just see like my muscle mass is less
atrophied.
Yeah,
they call it atrophied. Has your muscle atrophied?
Yeah, it has. And I don't know if you can
look at that small arm. Look at that small arm.
For those listening, Tony's flexing for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, but
ooh, Tony.
When I'm trying to screw it, like I was racking a switch the other day.
Oh, sure.
And I can do 2 screws fine with this hand, get it in there. I get 3/4 of the way with this. I'm like, oh, I gotta, my left arm is just getting sore fast, and so I gotta.
So the screwed up arm won't screw in switches.
That's right.
So, you obviously have to go back to the doctor in a month or 2 or something like that.
Actually, no. He said I don't have to go back. He didn't assign any physical therapy.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna do some free weights and
a little bit extra on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I haven't started yet. I need to, but I will soon.
All right. Well,
Airs in the
well, now you've put it out there, so I'm gonna be checking next time we record.
All right. Airs in the IRC chat. He says to check out the IT crowd, and I have watched that, and that's pretty funny. That's have you seen the IT crowd TV show?
No.
It's a British show that's almost 10 years old now, and it is really funny. It's the typical like computer guy in the office kind of thing, taking care of everybody around there and the stuff that he runs into.
Moss, the actor that plays him, is actually quite hysterical, and he's quite techie.
Oh yeah.
In real life, he's quite techie. He's run several other British shows on tech gadgets. I think there's a couple gadget shows he runs. You can find most of the episodes on YouTube.
Yeah.
And he's really funny.
That is funny. I think I watched the first set was on Netflix, if I remember right.
Yeah, no, the IT Crowd, great show. They tried. There is a 1-episode pilot that they did for America. They brought different characters, but they were just going to copy the show concept. Like, hey, it worked for The Office,
right?
And same thing. They didn't have the right mix of characters to make it funny. Just some people. What's that other guy? T.J. Samuels, who's at he plays Ehrlich in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
And, Andy was in Deadpool.
Yeah.
He's a stand-up comedian, and it's like he has such a presence, and he pulls it together, and that's what they need. It's one of those things. It's not just the actors. It's having that people who can really put the spin on it and bring some personality to it. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it all comes down to casting.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen...
Yes.
I know. I'm trying to remember what it's called now.
I'm just filling the dead space that
I know I left
that
it there.
ensued there. Yes. But that's all right. I can
50 Nerds of Grey.
Oh my gosh.
I'm afraid to look at that one.
No, it's safe. The same guy who plays Moss, that's his Twitter. It just we're not gonna have to read it on air. But it starts out with, it sounds like something naughty. It always ends up something techie. Like, she was bad. She wanted punishment. So I installed Windows 10 on her computer. I mean, it's a pretty comedic tweets. It's called, 50 Nerds of Grey.
That's funny. Yeah, I'm looking at that right now.
That is funny.
So.
All right. So, Tony, well, great. What else did you do? Because we're still on that part of the show.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So
I keep derailing it.
we had a birthday party for my daughter. It's been 1 year now that
1 year since her last one.
No, since she was born. Her first anniversary of her birth.
Oh, I was thinking of your oldest daughter.
Oh no, yeah. But yeah, no, Kalen, my youngest, is 1 now.
Wow.
And so we had a birthday party.
How's she doing? How's she doing?
She's doing really good. Yeah, she's crawling around, and I don't know what babies do.
They crawl and poop and sleep.
Pretty much. But we had like 20 like 4 and 5 year olds all come over, and we had
poor Kim.
we had
like maybe you if you were there.
it was very busy. But we did like the kiddie pool kind of party where we had 3 kiddie pools out there and all these toys and stuff, and they're just running around playing all day. It was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
It was fun. And seeing some of my friends I don't always see. Yeah.
Excellent.
But yeah, so what did you do the last few weeks, Mary?
Wow. Well, I watched Tesla take a dive.
Oh no.
I had some. I still do actually. I had some. And I'm talking about the market a little bit. I had some option positions on Tesla, and they had gotten some good news, so they're on the way up. Then the government announced the investigation into the suspension, so it tanks. So I had to make an adjustment, and then they ended up buying this Solar City.
Yeah, his cousin's company.
Yeah, and that thing is on I think I'm winging a prayer, it sounds like to me. And it's been universally panned by analysts and shareholders that have spoken up about it. So,
really?
Yeah. So anyway, I ended up having to do some major adjustments. So as in remove any bullish position I had on it.
His long game looks good on that, but the short term is scary. I mean, he's building the biggest battery factory in the world.
Where?
China. Silicon Valley.
Down in LA?
I thought I heard it was in
it's in the US.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember where he's building it. It's
near Phoenix, isn't it?
Yeah, somewhere Arizona, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
He's building in the US. I do know that for certain. But no one can keep up with his demands. He's actually exceeding the demands of the entire market on building batteries.
That's something else. Yeah. So anyway, so that occupied some of my time. And then I mentioned earlier, I actually went to a couple of Detroit City Football Club games. And, as I said earlier, I did notice the wireless thing on the phone pole. And I thought, wow, I didn't see that before. So that looks
Small world.
And what else did I do?
By the way, it's being built in Sparks, Nevada.
Nevada.
Okay.
Where there's lots of solar power that they plan to power the place.
Oh my God! It's just falling out of the sky. The power. Get it? Get it?
Yeah. What it actually shows if you go to if you Google it, it's called Gigafactory.
Yes.
And the entire roof is solar panels.
Yeah. And that's why he needs Solar City to be successful. I read his book. I like his strategy is really laid out.
Okay.
I don't know why more investors don't read his book, because it's not a secret what he's doing.
I think a lot of investors are more short term.
Yeah.
And so they buy into the vision of making profits in the next quarter, the next couple quarters. They don't look and say, wow, look at this 5-year view or 10-year view, and hey, this makes a lot of sense, and I want to do that. I think that's what's going on.
Well, if you're in tech, you're supposed to make money like in 2 seconds, right?
Right.
Well, that's what I'm expecting with my investments.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so I ended up losing. I was telling one of my friends it was like a Tesla cleanup in aisle 5.
Oh.
So anyway, but yeah. So now I've recalibrated my position, and I'm doing all right now. So yeah, so there was that, and what else did I do? I took possession of the nice MacBook that's in front of me now, which is from my friend Ruth, who gives me her old equipment.
Are you running Mac OS, or did you reinstall it?
No, I'm running Mac OS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the BSD kernel.
The Mach kernel.
The Mach, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's on here, and it's kind of interesting because of course I pulled up a terminal and was kind of nosing around in there, and I'm thinking, yeah, there's some familiarity here.
Yeah.
But a lot of the BSD guys use Macs.
Mac hardware, right?
Macs is their. I don't know if they're running the Mac OS or if they replaced it, but they're probably still running the Mac OS.
It's popular even among a lot of my programming friends who are like back end systems guys. There are a lot of them. They're running Linux on there, but they really like the hardware.
I might. Yeah. Now this one's about 5 years old. It's got 4 gigs of RAM in it. And I think a 320 gig hard drive. So it's got some good space in there. And I think it could probably, and it's 64-bit, of course. So I'm thinking it probably worth, but I wanted to leave the Mac OS on here for a little bit, just to have
kick
it
around and
just a little bit.
All right.
But that's pretty much what I've been up to. Went to Nebraska. Yep. Oh, the other thing I did too is I got my tickets for Iceland. I'm going to Iceland in September.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Is this your second time going?
Yes. I love it.
Yeah.
They're a neat place.
Oh my gosh. Iceland is so cool.
You just can't pronounce
it. Cool
anything.
Iceland. That's true. The volcano that erupted in 2010, it took me about 100 times, but it's Eyjafjallajökull.
That dialect is just...
It's something else, but...
Didn't you go right before that eruption or right after? I thought it was...
I went in 2013, but we went out we went out near where it was, and I got a picture of me standing next to a boulder that is about twice as tall as I am and about 4 times as wide as I am. And I don't know if that came out of that volcano or if the receding glacier, because the glacier had a lot of ash on it, whether just the melting of the glacier just revealed that boulder that had been there for a long time. But I've never seen a rock that big.
Wow.
So
that's neat.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I've been up to. All right. I guess it was time to move on.
Yeah, we're going on to listener feedback.
We want to hear from you. Call 734-258-7009 or email show@smlr.us with your feedback and questions.
Yeah, so the first email I see is from Larry.
Thanks, Larry.
Yeah, and he recorded a little bit of a soundbite for us. I had it up running, but apparently when you stop playing VLC, it doesn't hold it. It just it stops it. So I'm gonna play it again.
Hey guys, this is Larry here. Scratties from the IRC chat. Letting you know that Ike Doherty of the Solus project has released version 1.2 of the Solus operating system. It is a major improvement over 1.1. It has an all-new installer, and it has a new software center that I think everybody's going to really like. It's available from the Solus project website. think you should go over, take a look at it, and I think you'll like it. Thanks.
Yeah, and a little interesting tidbit about Larry is that he's from the Metro Detroit area. So he says he's planning to come through in a month or so, and so we're probably going to get together for some beers or something.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So Tom, I should include you on those emails, and we can all get together. If you want to drive down River Mary, then we can go to Beer Keller or something.
Come down the river.
Yeah, that's right, because I'm way upriver. Sure.
All right.
That would be fun. It's interesting that he mentioned Solus.
Yeah.
Because I did take a look at it, and
it's broken.
Still not your cup of tea.
No. Well, it's not that. I think that for people who use it and who appreciate the things that already come installed, I mean, because it comes with some nice programs already installed that are included, so you don't have to go through the hassle of installing them. But not that it's a big hassle, but the installer, I think, still needs a little bit of work to make it better.
Yeah.
I mean, someone like myself who's very experienced with these kinds of things, I know what I need to do. But anybody who may be relatively new to installing a distro could have a problem.
All right. So it comes with Steam support built in.
Yeah, I
right?
wanted to see, and that's the other thing too. I wanted to play around with that because I think you guys have seen the comments about Steam. It's sort of like lost its momentum on Linux, kind of.
Yeah.
At least that was my impression from the things I've read.
I have a news article related to that too.
Mm-hmm. And so I thought to myself, well, if this distro comes with Steam support integrated, that's a good thing. That should bode well for running games on Steam, at least when you're running Solus. So I was really looking forward to logging in with my Steam account just to see how it all worked. But I ran into to be fair, let me just say this: I started to take a look at it Friday night, yesterday morning. So and as of this date, the installs hung 3 times.
Really?
Yeah. Once I got past the partitioning situation. But yeah, it hung 3 times, and so right now it was sitting on trying to unmount partitions or trying to unmount whatever it was. It says this could take a while, and so I let it sit, and I came back about 45 minutes later. It was still on that section, so I think it's safe to say it's hung there.
Oh no!
So it's still
Were you installing off a CD or off a USB?
I was installing off a DVD.
Oh, okay. I don't know what would cause that.
I don't know either. That's what was very perplexing to me. And as a matter of fact, I don't know if we want. I had planned to discuss this in a little more detail on a Fresh Looks episode. I could
Okay.
Okay, but
no.
Well, then I'll stop now. I got the message.
No,
I'm kidding. I'm just joking.
All right.
So anyway, I'll talk about it a little bit more later.
Cool.
Listener feedback?
Yeah.
So anyway, thanks for writing in on that. I think ultimately, if you when you get it installed, the Budgie desktop is I like the looks of it.
Yeah.
But it's So all right, I'll talk about that. I'm sorry, I did blurt that out.
It's fine, Mary. All right. No, that doesn't. I've heard a lot of really good things about the Budgie desktop, and it would be really interesting to see to hear your thoughts on that. Yeah.
Later.
All right. We have another listener feedback from Julian, and he's suggesting music for this week, and I'm going to take it up. It's cool 8-bit chip music.
Hey, and Julian, we liked it a lot,
Yeah.
and that's why we're going to feature it as our outro music.
That's right. Electric Monkey Muscles.
Yeah. So you'll hear it at the end of the show. Unless you already start playing it, Tony.
It'll be at the end of the show.
All right.
And last thing I saw was that we got another donation. Friend of the show is came through yesterday, 2 days ago. Norm. So I wanted to thank you to Norm very much about donating for us.
Hey, Norm, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our shoestring budget,
Right.
it helps.
Yeah. So I sent him an email back, but I don't know if he got it. Asking if you wanted a T-shirt or not and where to send it to. So if you're listening to this, Norm, let me know.
Cool.
Did we? Let's see. On June 18th, was I using Debian packages incorrectly? Do you see that one?
Mm-mm.
We have Taylor Rana Drink asking if they were using the Debian installer correctly because they had found it easier when they switched to Fedora to get packages installed.
What was that time? They found it easier than Fedora?
They found Fedora easier.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm haven't used Fedora in over 10 years, so Tony can answer that. Did you find the email?
Let me look again. I was looking, but
not yet.
You said the 18th?
Yep, June 18th.
I didn't see
it. If not, I will reply to it.
Yeah, they didn't just send it straight to you, did you? Did they?
Nope, to show at SLMR.us.
I've got to check my email setup. I swapped out my computer earlier in the month, and I want to make sure that I'm getting all my emails properly.
I'll just read the email so you can't find it, so we can discuss it a little bit. I've always used Debian distros, but recently I gave Fedora a try. I'm using the apt-get command and praying that the repository had something up to date. When I booted up Fedora, I hadn't tried out DNF yet. And instead of taking a few minutes to read the man page, I just went to the website software I wanted to install, downloaded the installer from the website. Typically, this was a pain in Debian, or maybe I just never learned how to install packages in Debian. Fedora, however, opened up the file I downloaded and clicked the big install button, and it was done. My big question is, should it really be this difficult, or am I just especially thick when it comes to Debian?
I wouldn't say especially thick, but I've never had that problem. In Debian or Ubuntu, you click on the deb package and a graphical thing pops up and you click install.
Yeah, and I've done it from the command line. And you do it slightly different because I do dpackage -i for install the package name. And if the package fails, because it'll tell you unmet dependencies, then I just do apt-get install -f, which means force all those dependencies. This is out of habit because I'm not, because I do that on my servers too. So it's an easy way to do it. And I've never had it really have a problem. So those are the general ways I do it. But I know it's when you use it, I think I've done it once or twice through the Ubuntu graphical. It just meets all the dependencies and goes. Like if you get something that's not already in the store. So maybe there's something in her process that that was wrong. I'm not sure.
Right.
I guess I need to know the error message, but I'd be, I'm not as much a Fedora person, but
well, Fedora tends to have the latest and greatest of everything in it.
Well, the whole
cutting
packaging,
edge,
the whole
bleeding
package
edge
system is different.
Yeah.
Well, it's Yum, isn't it?
Yeah, it uses Yum, and where it's depackaged
for now anyway.
Apt, right? So I don't know what the difference is really.
Yeah, and all this is moot point because Snappy's going to save us all.
Right.
Not according to the Red Hat folks.
Unless you're with Red Hat, and then you're going to have to go with Flatpak. But this is going to save us from all these, and I think there's some good points that we'll get to on that.
It's interesting, and we'll talk about Snappy later. But there's already been a couple of distros that have come out to do the same thing, and then now all of a sudden the big guys are getting in there saying, "Hey, that's kind of a good idea."
Yeah,
that's how it usually is. The big guys, they'll not innovate. It's the little ones that try to make themselves stand out a little bit. So they'll come up with these great ideas, and then finally the big guys take notice of it. So we'll have probably two standards. Because Red Hat wants to. Who, by the way, had I think they had a pretty good quarter. Their stock is like up to $80-some a share, really pretty good. But anyway, Red Hat wants to define the Linux space.
Oh, sure.
Just no doubt about it.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is there any other feedback you guys saw?
Let me double check.
Let me check. Let's see here. I'll just speak wildly while we quickly look.
Nope.
I think that's I think you're right, Tom. I think that's kind of it.
Okay.
Actually, there's
So-
one that came in the other day.
Is there?
Yeah, it's kind of long and drawn out. It's actually pointed to you, Mary. I'm surprised that we didn't get an email on this. Came out on the 15th.
I'm moving back down toward the 15th.
Let's talk about
here.
backup programs where system back, it's not necessarily a backup program. Instead, it takes snapshots of your working system files so you can roll back to a previous point. in
System
time.
back.
System back.
Yeah, I think I've talked about that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to run a little test, not now, of course, and just check and see if the emails are being forwarded. I made some changes, and I'm wondering if for some reason maybe they're going into a spam filter.
Okay. Yeah. But he says it's similar to the Mac's Time Machine. Does
Mhm.
that. Windows has something else similar, but not sure.
System restore, didn't they? I think that's what it's
Um,
called. You create a restore point, but system
Yeah.
back, yeah. And I tested it out, and I liked it. I mean, there's several Linux backup and rollback options available. And I remember system back. I liked it. It
Mhm.
worked. I didn't run a really involved test. I just ran a small one, but I was able to roll back, and the files that I had created were not there, which tells me I had successfully rolled back. I mean, that's a very unscientific test, but it certainly worked.
Yeah. He said there's some other ones. So the biggest idea
Or
of
no,
system back
excuse
is
me, I have that
it does a
backwards.
snapshot of your system files, not your personal
Oh,
files.
it might have been a different backup program, because what I had done is I created files, then I deleted them, and then I rolled back, and they were there.
Oh,
But
okay.
it probably wasn't system back now that I think about it. It was probably another one.
Yeah.
It was when I was on the backup system kick. I was
Right.
into different backup programs and apps.
Yeah.
It predates your involvement on the show, Tom, but yeah, I was into this big backup thing and just was checking them all out each week. Okay.
All right. That was from Vic. And that was actually a comment on the website.
Okay.
Thanks, Vic. Let's see. Anything else?
No,
All right.
I just knew that answer. So I guess we're gonna.
We're going to
Distro Fever, where we cover the latest hot distro releases and news.
Yes.
What did you see, Mary?
Well, as previously noted, a couple things actually. It's not production ready yet, but Ghost BSD has come out with their next increment, I should say, of their testing phase. So I'm looking forward to seeing that and trying it out. I haven't really fired up my.
Yeah, they're up to beta
Yeah.
beta 1.
So that tells me that it's getting close. There'll probably be a couple release candidates, and maybe sometime in August we'll see it.
Yeah. This is a new release of Peppermint OS.
Yes, I've seen a lot of people talking about that.
Yeah, I tried it a long time ago. I think it was like Peppermint OS, either 1 or 2.
Mhm.
And it was almost like Chrome OS. It was like way before Chrome OS was doing it, where there was very little installed on the machine, and most of it was in cloud services kind of thing. And that's what made it kind of fast, is that it was just a streamlined version.
Yeah.
With
Mhm.
LXDE.
Yeah. Hey, and one thing that I'll mention here, we talked about Flatpak a little bit, but Fedora 24 was released, and this is the inaugural release of Fedora with Flatpak.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. I installed Flatpak on my Kubuntu system at home,
Mm-hmm.
and it I had to add a PPA, which I added, and then I installed it. It ran into a problem though when you have to install a runtime environment, and I tried to install GNOME 3.20, and I'll have to go back and take a look at the syntax for the command, because there was a little bit of an issue with it.
Okay.
Which was unfortunate, but anyway, so yeah, Fedora 24. All you Fedora fans are probably just enjoying the heck out of it.
Right. it says Wayland's available also for it. Where the last year or two, it's always been discussions about the different distros, whether they're going to stick with X or to go to something else. And so they're still staying with X as the default display server, but Wayland is available if you want to move away from it or test it or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll also mentioned, as was mentioned earlier, Solus 1.2 was released. So they've, that's kind of a from scratch distro. They have got the package manager it does kind of remind me of, it's got some characteristics of Ubuntu's as far as how it's kind of laid out. It's very nice. I know I can recall using it, I think, in the earlier version earlier this year, and as I recall, it worked quite well. So that's, I think Solus fans are probably pretty excited about that.
All right.
Hey, and I don't know if you guys saw this, but Devil Linux, that distro, it first hit the DistroWatch pages back, I think, in 2002.
Wow.
Yeah, I was thinking to myself, man, that's an oldie but goodie.
Yeah.
And then they were releasing very regularly over the what do they call them, the aughts, the 2000s, that decade, the previous decade.
Right.
And then they kind of, I think 2008, then they had 2012, as I recall, was their last release. And so now 2016, they've come out again. So, but of course, as the note state here, it's really, they focus on servers, firewalls, and routers. So that's probably why they just don't get released or as updated as frequently.
Right.
Hey, also, Parrot Security OS, they had a release over the last few weeks too. I was wondering if anybody's had a chance to try that out.
I'm looking at it right now. I haven't had a chance to try it, but it looks interesting. I'm always interested in when there's more than one option for that security penetration testing stuff.
Yeah, when there's no competition, it kind of gets stale because no one's trying to put the latest and greatest tools in there.
Exactly.
I wonder if there's a comparison with Kali Linux or some of the other security-based systems. It might be kind of interesting to see how it stacks up.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I would like to take a look at it.
And of course,
they have a cool website.
Oh, Parrot OS.
Yeah, I'm looking at their website right now. It's really neatly.
It's got a parrot on it, I bet.
It does. Yeah, and if you want to download, you have to follow the white rabbit.
Well, that's clever.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, but yeah, they have a whole list of all their tools and stuff, and there's a lot of really good stuff. Reaver, Aircrack NG, the social engineering toolkit, Beef is installed. Yeah, it looks really interesting. Yeah, definitely. I'll take a look at that.
They're moving toward a release later this year of FreeBSD 11.0. So they're just in the alpha stage right now, but I'm looking forward to that coming out.
Yeah. All right.
So I think that's pretty much what kind of caught my eye in this most recent crop.
That's that was me too.
Yeah.
Tom?
Nothing really jumped out at me. I was looking because it's been a little while. PFSense had their security update.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that last time because it was right about the last show we did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nothing else really jumped at me for that. But other than the Peppermint stuff, because I've been reading about it, because I always like some of the lightweight things. I like when things run really fast on simple hardware.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I have my power laptop I use for all the fun stuff, but then having something lightweight means I need a lightweight OS on there.
When you say lightweight, you're talking a 32-bit system, or are you talking something else?
No, I still want a 64-bit. I'm hoping they'll modify it to work on some of the Chromebooks and things like that. Because most of the time I just need to get to a web browser or a terminal just to type some commands or just read a lot. That's my lightweight laptop that I'm using now is still a Chromebook because it's it's really easy just to pick it up and carry.
Sure.
It's not, so
that's one of your criteria. It has to be easy to pick up and carry.
Yes.
Sounds good. Well, I'll tell you one thing, as far as distros and trying distros out, One of the laptops I have at home is an old work laptop, and it's a 32-bit. And it's getting harder and harder now to find stuff that will run on it. I'm sad to say.
You know, I agree. I was messing with a little laptop. I had a project at EMU the other day that was to install Linux and run a web server. And I thought, just a basic, web server shouldn't be hard, really. So I installed or downloaded 3 different versions of CentOS and couldn't get any of them working. And because it was 32-bit. So the first one I downloaded, which was the latest, was 64-bit only. The second version I downloaded was you had to have the kind of old version. So it just took a lot longer than I remember ever installing a Linux distro, just because it was a really old laptop. I ended up downloading Debian, and it just went right through, worked fine. So I don't know why I didn't just start with that. But.
Yeah, just run Debian and everything. That's my solution.
Right.
I got to admit, though, and I might buy one because they're so cheap, is they've got those new, they're stick computers, they're calling them, but they're basically an HDMI on one end, a couple USBs, and a micro SD card. And I think they have one now for the $100 mark that has a actual network cable in it now. Oh, yeah. So it's not just Wi-Fi support, because a lot of them only supported Wi-Fi, but they're not ARM-based. They're Intel chips. They're based on the new Intel processor, so they're reasonably fast with reasonably good support for graphics.
Nice. All right.
Peppermint OS has a 32-bit version.
Yeah.
Yes. I am going to, I think I'm going to install that on my little 32-bit computer and see how it works. And then also, that distro that was forked from Debian due to System D.
Oh, yeah.
Devuan.
Yeah.
I am going to look into that too, because our errors,
yeah,
from the chat. Yep, from the IRC chat. I wanted to know if I could take a look at it. So
cool.
And I think that would be a good one. But that is, I think is that 64-bit only? I think.
I don't know.
Maybe so.
All right. So I guess we're going on to news. Are you guys ready for that?
Yes.
I'm ready.
Tech news and views.
All right. So what did you guys find this week?
Well, I found that actually there was a fair amount. The thing that kind of caught my eye was Google has come out with they're coming out with their rules for robots.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that? They
Can we just make them 3 laws safe? Isaac Asimov.
Don't hurt humans. Yeah. What was? Yeah. Yeah. They were. Well, I think what they're discovering is it's a little more complicated. And then somebody was indicating, well, if you're a room cleaning robot, you want to make sure they don't just cover up and hide the mess, and that they actually do the cleaning. I'm thinking that is just so human, isn't it?
Elon Musk is working on it too, and I'm like, the guy's making everything awesome with the world. He announced he's working on some robots to help with household chores, and I'm like,
really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I can't afford a Tesla, but can I afford a dishwashing robot?
Right.
I mean, we have a dishwasher, but they don't put the dishes in there, so it's only half good.
Wow.
Or they don't rinse them off either.
And children are really hard to train, as it
Children
turns out.
are?
Yeah. They don't like putting them in the dishwasher either.
Well,
I need an artificial one.
Yeah, so that kind of caught my eye. And they were just talking, as I said, they're talking about how it's a little more difficult. I mean, you can say the first rule is don't harm a human, or don't not take an action that would result in a human being harmed. I mean, that's very conceptual. So they're trying to get down to the nitty gritty and really lay
and
out
how to code it. Because there's still, everyone asks the question is, if a car is going down a road and it's going to kill 2 people if it goes this way, but kill the driver if it goes the other way, do they save the most lives? And then if you own the car,
from whose perspective?
Yeah, the owner of the car goes, well, I know what I would choose because I'm in the car.
Yeah.
So someone has to code that. And
but I would try to apply the brakes first to minimize the damage. All right. Well, it was funny when I was thinking about it. So yeah, so that kind of caught my eye. Let's see, what else do I have here? I have to say, you guys, using this Mac, I'm not as efficient moving around in my stuff as I was before. I just have to tell you that. Yep. And then the other thing, and we kind of touched on this already, was the whole flat pack, and Snappy. That whole discussion, because Ars Technica carried an article earlier this month about flat pack coming out, and of course we know it's on Fedora, which we talked about earlier. So those were a couple of things that I
Flatpak was originally called XDG.
Yeah, XApps, XDG, or
XDG apps,
something that didn't flow off. Although Flatpak, I think there could have been a better name. I mean, you look at Snappy.
Snappy sounds more exciting.
Flatpak.
Now, I don't see it really being a problem. Like you're saying, two different standards. We already have two different packaging systems. So
who's we?
The Linux world in general has multiple Linux packaging, but
and then there's FreeBSD people,
which is they got the ports.
But my
and
thought
package
is right.
PKG.
But the like Ubuntu and Debian has Deb packages, and then Ubuntu is doing the Snappy, which is basically taking Deb packages and all the dependencies and rolling it into one big package, and then you install that and keeping those dependencies in separate silos.
Yeah, kind of sandbox them. But the thing about it is that you can create it on a Ubuntu system, but then you're going to be able to install it on any system. Well, in theory. In theory, right? It'd be available to any system. Right.
I've already seen some people port it over to the servers and created some methodologies to do that and move it over to other distributions. So that's been done. I guess it's being done for a lot of IoT devices too.
Internet of Things.
Internet of Target devices. But that way they can pull an application without having to do all the dependencies. So as long as you build your IoT on a current kernel, you can easily go, I want these features, and you don't have to worry about all the dependency issues.
Right. Or you can upgrade certain sections of your IoT device, and it won't affect other functionality.
Right. That's a problem I run into in Ubuntu myself with the Kdenlive video editor. I upgraded one thing and it broke Kdenlive because it had the dependencies, because Ubuntu for a little while decided to go with non-standard packages for some of their audio editing. So it broke the audio in Kdenlive. And then Ubuntu says, fine, we'll go back to it, because it didn't just break Kdenlive, it broke tons of things that depend on that library.
Needed that, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like and it was only for one release cycle that they did that, but it's still, why do that? And this solves all those problems.
Yeah.
I think it creates a new one though, and I didn't see a lot of people talk about this, but here's one of my problems. So in a library gets compromised because we find security flaws. So say SSL, tons of things depended on the SSL for that. Well, I updated the SSL and all the applications now are all happy and work because that's not broken. Let's take it into the Snappy world. They build all these applications built on a flawed library. There's a change. Well, some of these package maintainers have day jobs and don't really have time to send out the releases for this dependency. So they all need to get around to recompiling. Well, now they will slowly trickle in, and the amount of data I need to download every single package over again, because Snappy itself, even though you can update it, because it's repulling an entire binary blob with everything in there, means there's a whole lot of updates that need to be done.
See, and the binary, and then the whole binary blob is a whole different issue, but
yeah, but I was kind of looking at that from a security perspective, because they're all going to be built on the same common tools again. And if you have that, I think you kind of have a potential for problem, especially if I have my favorite package, even though it's not the best maintained, it works, but all the security related to it's based on the existing underlying operating system that is being patched and up to date. So I mean, maybe not. I don't think it's the killer, but I think it's an issue.
Right. I can see it in two different use cases, that people that need to rely on somebody else to be updating the dependencies will just continue to release in a normal deb package. and not use Snappy. And because you're going to be able to use both in the system.
Yeah.
And then, but if you want to have it like a siloed, so that because you want to use non-standard libraries, but then the problem is now on the hook to making sure all the the dependencies are
and that they're running
up to date.
Yeah, because they have to keep their system up to date before they compile the Snappy before they push it. So there's that. But I think huge welcoming for things like maybe games, definitely from the browsers. The maintainers of Chrome and Firefox are probably celebrating, going, "Yay!"
Right.
Because it's not hard to push this over to even Windows. From what I've understood from talking from Mark Shuttleworth talk, is that this can be ported over to Android and Windows.
Wow.
And so if you got that universal cross-platform, you suddenly open up things. I'm sure Microsoft's not thrilled about this at all, but
well, maybe not. But just to make sure I understand, so somebody can take one of these packages that was prepared with Snappy and then install it into Windows, or do you have to have something going on in Windows?
You have to have that platform in Windows.
Okay.
But his point was, because I've already started including some of the Linux stuff inside of Windows,
the runtime, whatever.
Some of the runtimes. If you started adding those kernel functions in there, you could also easily bring Snappy over, because once the kernel can run, away you go. And it's kind of what they're doing to get the Linux stuff to work as it is now. And as Docker, for example, is the new Docker releases for Windows, they run on a Linux kernel inside of Hyper-V on Windows. So they're actually not ported to Windows. They're taking advantage of the fact that you can start using Docker because Windows is taking advantage of the Linux functions. So it's not that they're rewriting Docker to be a Windows binary. It's that Windows is allowing ELF binaries to run. So it's an interesting kind of why Bash runs. Bash is not a recompiled Windows binary. Bash is, of course, it does say bash.exe, which is just weird.
Right. I can actually see this as being a good thing for Windows, because it kind of brings, Snappy would now become like the App Store.
Yes.
And so you can just browse through the Snappy store.
And they've had a failed App Store on Windows anyways. So.
Yeah. So now you can start installing apps that are open source and
right. Just start with Linux and just, I don't need this Windows thing anymore.
Yeah.
But that's even good for if the Windows community embrace that in general, because installing updates on Windows is such a problem with packages and programs, in that world. It breaks things. It does things. It's messy.
Yeah, I agree. So, Mary, you said you had read a little bit into Flatpak. Was there anything else that we haven't talked about that Flatpak maybe is doing?
I think we've touched on quite a bit of it. The idea of the sandboxing I thought was very nice. Very nice. I thought was a very a good way to approach it, because that way you are going to isolate rogue files or something. If something is bad inside there, it's not going to have the run of the system. The other thing I was thinking of too, and we're talking about just how these things are put together, whether it's Snappy or Flatpak, is that it reminds me of, I want to say, Gecko Linux, which you remember Gecko? I did a review on it a couple years ago. The way this actually Gecko Linux, the maintainer of Gecko Linux is the same guy that wrote HTOP. Just
okay.
A little trivia there, but yeah, it was set up to have the applications. They kind of had their own directory structure. They're all like self-contained, and it also reminds me too of how PCBSD with their push button installer, where they would have just a complete package of all the dependencies and everything, so it could just be dropped in much the same way that you do that on Mac. Because I installed, it was so odd. Well, odd. It was odd in a good way. I had downloaded the LibreOffice for the Mac, and all I had to do was just drag it over to applications, and it took care of everything. So
I looked up Gecko Linux on DistroWatch, and I don't see they usually have a list of all their releases. I don't see it on there.
It would be
GECKO. Yeah. I mean, it showed up in there, and I can see it, but I was trying to see when their last release was.
I think I want to say it's probably a couple years ago.
It's based on sushi, so
Okay.
thus the name Gecko.
Oh, sure.
News. Oh, they have recent stuff. Just they have a rolling edition. Just
Who Gecko?
on the 24th. Yeah,
Okay.
released.
It just didn't make
so-
Distro Watch, I think, is what.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So they are definitely a current. But I think this is what I was thinking about earlier when I said that there was other smaller distros that are doing the siloed or a sandbox kind of release with the packages.
Yeah. Now, and that's a good point that you're making, Tony. I'm not certain. I think having that separate directory structure, that self-contained, certainly sets it up for being sandboxed. I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember if this was all sandboxed in that same security conscious fashion.
Right.
I'm
yeah.
trying to
So maybe
remember that.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe it shouldn't have. I shouldn't have said sandbox, but
It
was
could.
siloed.
It could be. I just have to go
when
back
I say
and look.
siloed means like all the dependencies are.
Yeah,
here.
they're all self-contained. These are all self-contained. So big.
Yeah.
That it doesn't.
Because you're going to have a
you
ton
don't
of
need-
duplication.
Yeah, who cares? Well, I mean, you care a little bit maybe,
But
I don't
Right.
care as much as I would have cared
Yeah.
if I only had a 1 gig hard drive.
Right, and bandwidth and hard drive space is really
inexpensive.
inexpensive,
Mhm.
right? Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
And as I understand, reading a little bit about Flatpak, it creates 2 containers, one with the dependencies, one with the binary, that to make it easier to just update a piece of it without sending the whole piece. I'm not absolutely clear that Snappy does that, but they were from a little bit of readings, Flatpaks are smaller because of that. And if you're a Flatpak developer and I'm making a suite of products, I can create one container with dependencies and several other ones. And now I can update them individually. It's got that as an option. So here's my dependency container for my media suite. Here's the tools that I have that are related to it. And I can update a version of one tool and leave intact the same ones because it's not there, or update one dependency package and it updates it for all of them because they're all based on the same package. So as I understand how it works, that's one of the ways that Flatpak has an advantage that based on a post on a forum that's not some guy who seems like he knows what he's talking about.
Right.
I have not read enough details and docs to.
Hey, you guys, I have a confession to make. It's not Gecko Linux. It's Gobo Linux.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, never mind. I apologize. I really do. It started with a G and it just Gecko just sounded right, and that was it. It's actually Gobo Linux, where they have the custom file system hierarchy, and they released back in May of 2014. So.
Yeah. The last one was yep.
Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to clarify that. So in case anybody's thinking about Gecko Linux and thinking that they've got these self-contained, file hierarchies for various applications and programs, we were incorrect.
All right. Well, thank you for fixing it, Mary. People are putting their email, they're deleting their emails as we speak.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So anyway, sorry about that again.
Yeah. No, but what Tom was saying about that, I can definitely see them doing it where, like you said, one vendor will have the dependencies set.
Yeah.
And then they'll have, like, say if there's a community version and then a corporate version and then like a server version or something like that, they can just roll, change the one thing where if all the dependencies stay the same for all those.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. How that really works in practice, I don't know, but conceptually, it sounds really good.
Yeah.
What's next on your news?
I think those were the 2 things that kind of caught my eye as far as news goes. So anyone else? Tom, look at him over there. He is just excited to get on with his news. Go ahead, Tom.
Well, I don't know if you heard, but the EU now has 1 GB free.
I saw that joke.
Think about that.
Yeah.
I like that. And why does I bring that up is because it actually
it gave you an opportunity to have a joke.
Yeah, I had a joke.
A funny joke.
But Canonical, we've heard of them. They bunch of people, they're based there. So this
in Brussels?
No, they're based in
Great
Britain, where
okay.
yeah, and so they are suddenly less valuable and they could run into all kinds of import-export problems because no one knows what this means, of course, because it's all, the whole Brexit thing only happened a few days ago. So it's interesting how many tech companies I didn't realize, but it's a pretty extensive list that call that place home. And now they use, because of the common language, hey, they speak English, we're going to put our tech company here.
Or like Ireland, they don't pay taxes, so
so what does that mean? Because that's where all these places just headquartered, including Canonical, to give them access to the EU. Well, now they're losing certain levels of access based on the transparency that was brought to them. So I think
that's a good question.
Yeah. So where does that leave them? Not just to mention that obviously if they're in the country, they kept their money in the British pound, which took a pounding, and I got two jokes. So what does that mean for them as a company? Because it changes.
Yeah, they're kind of royally screwed.
They're royally screwed.
Not as good as yours, but okay.
So I just, no one knows, no one has an answer. I've participated in a couple discussions.
Hey, but we'll be happy to throw some ideas out.
That's all we've been doing. It's just we found more puns than we did ideas. So that's kind of at the top of the news there. But back to another topic you brought up earlier when it comes to like Steam. So Phronix did a really good analysis of the games out there, and a lot of it comes down to the porting of the game, meaning more than anything else. So you can't say that Linux is faster for games or Windows is faster for games. It really comes down to the porting of the game. Okay. And they talked about some inside information that goes on in some of those when they port one over. Apparently, not all of the source code is even available when they rewrite a game. Because some of it's been archived. So when they bring a game that was on Windows platform, that it's not always the same dev team, they're working on something different. They find workarounds and packaging instead of rewriting it from scratch to be compatible with Linux. So that's one of the big problems. And because some of these game houses go, sorry, Linux guys, you represent too small of a population for us to write this. And I've been writing Windows code for so long, they optimize it and they just bury everything within that. So it makes it really hard to pull out. So they actually have to write basically an interpreter.
So they have a frame. I mean, they kind of wrap the Windows code in with some emulation stuff, or so that,
which of course kills any type of performance. So there's Phronix has a deep article on that, and it's an analytics of Windows and Linux and AMD and the whole, because it relates to the drivers too, of how they're able to take advantage of the driver base being different for the graphics that give them better access to that for speed. So definitely kind of an issue there. I'm hoping it changes as a platform, but I think that's where, Steam has been pushing for the Linux side of things, but it's hard for them because they don't write all the games. So, but maybe they'll come up with a snappy
I have $15 in there that I don't think I'll ever be able to get out.
You can't find a game that you want. I brought up a little bit earlier, but Docker's rolling out their Mac and Windows stuff. So, but it's on Mac, it's running on the HyperKit, and on Windows, it's running on Hyper-V. But it's all like basically Linux systems embedded that's going to be on there for Docker. Let's Encrypt.
Let's.
Yes, I've been running it for a while. Real happy with it. The awful company called Komodo decided they wanted to use Let's Encrypt as their own trademark.
Commode.
Dropped them in the commode. The CEO had some insane comments I believe were deleted, but apparently he said something along the lines of, we'll just let the courts decide if we can use this. They were clearly using it before you. Like, this is a very childish thing to say.
Wow.
They're such a crappy company. They're the ones also, if you haven't heard their name before, they've been caught up with crappy malware and things like that.
I get that joke.
Yeah, the Komodo crappy malware. What's worse about them is because they're a trusted CA. They provide security certificates.
Who, Komodo?
Yes. So, and they provide them for really cheap, but that gives them insight because
what kind of paper is it on?
Yeah, no kidding. And because so many browsers trust it, and all the major ones, that also gives them, when they started writing the malware, easy access to other trusted things. It's a disaster of a company. They're just slimy, shady. But this whole thing, we're going to use a Let's Encrypt trademark. Really, guys?
Yeah, really. That's pretty bad.
Now, people are really shocked by this. Nautilus added a new feature.
Oh,
Nautilus?
Yeah, everyone's. Yeah, it was
so
like.
Nautilus. That was, and then of course then there's the forked version, which is Files.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder, did this something that Files had and that came back to Nautilus, or is this...
I'm not clear where it came from, and it's simple. It's just batch renaming, but they actually are adding a feature instead of deprecating something. So users are in shock and awe and can't believe the news.
Wow.
And the VLC now is getting Chromecast support in version 3. So
nice.
Yes.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I
to be
thought
able
that's
to cast
cool.
any video from your computer. Right now, to cast to a Chromecast, you have to be able to open it in Chrome. And so now, if you have like an MP4 or really
all the movies I
MKV or whatever file, that you have on your PC, you can just cast it through VLC. That's nice.
Yeah, so it's in beta right now. I haven't really read it and see how good it's working, but I trust them. I'm excited. It's coming. That's
right.
If you guys were to convert movies for your own personal use, if you were, I'm not saying that you do that. What tool would be the best tool to use?
I use Handbrake.
Yeah,
you would use Handbrake if you did that.
I make backups of my movies that I legally own. And when I make those backups, I use Handbrake.
Yeah.
Some of the newer ones are not. They're not
Handbrake friendly.
Yeah, they're not. I just noticed it when I got a movie.
Oh yeah, yeah. A lot of the stuff I'm backing up is 6,
7 years old. Yeah, that stuff works great.
Right.
So okay. Handbrake is a fantastic tool.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I really like it, and there's just a lot of options. There's a CLI version, so you can.
Yes.
I wrote a script one time that when I was at work, I could launch. I could SSH in and launch the script, and it would start the backup, or start the backup of the movie.
Yeah.
And then when it was done, it would pop the drive out, and then I would tell my wife, "Okay, now put this movie in, or put the next one in, and tell me what it is." She'd put it in. I'd type in the name of the movie, and it would rip the next one. So
that's pretty clever.
Yeah,
that's pretty clever.
So that was a way that I could do it while.
Yeah, you didn't have any downtime as far as getting those taken care of, or not much anyway, because you had your wife helping you with that.
Right.
That's what I call teamwork, Tony. All right, Tom.
Last one. If you type into Google, why is chmod 777 destructive? There's an article on server fault that comes up that's kind of interesting.
Oh,
they
really?
break down actually what happens if you do from the root directory chmod 777 and just wide open everything.
Oh, geez.
But it's an interesting read of how some of the functionality of the Linux operating system and how your system will boot but be broken and what breaks, and how there's not, why it's so hard, or not really reinstalling is a solution, not recovery. There's but it points out to just a lot of the little things, like why there's a sticky bit. It was a lesson in file system management, so it was a good read.
What is that question we're supposed to type in?
Why is chmod 777 so destructive?
All right.
Yeah, that's
Speaking of Google searches, did you see that? What does it mean to exit the EU? Was the most popular search in Britain after the.
Yeah, we are given some insight into the mentality of the human race that is a little scary sometimes.
Wow. Yeah, people.
What did we just do? We just woke up and had to figure it out. Let's Google what we just did.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the panic set in when there was a tweet from Trump that thought it was a good thing. They're like, wait a minute, he thinks it's good. What, did we do a good thing?
That's funny. All right. So I had found a couple articles, and one of them was the Komodo article that you were talking about in Let's Encrypt. Another one isn't necessarily, it's not Linux or open source related at all, but it's more security related. It's Krebs on security article from the other day, and how to spot skimmers on credit card machines or checkout machines.
Yeah, I usually go like that to see if it's really attached.
Oh yeah, that's a good way. What they've done is there's a specific one. It's incognito ones that it's used at like Walmart and not Dollar Tree, but Family Dollar and a couple other ones use this one. And has specific pictures of how to figure out, how to see the difference between them, if there's a skimmer on it or not. And he said that just like a day before he posted this article, the actual company had a lot of reports, and they made their own tutorial of how to do it also, how to check on it.
Oh, okay.
It would seem there's a way that you could put something on a credit card, like on the machine itself, like the people who manufacture the machines that the skimmers are getting attached to say, hey, look, something's on top of me. I mean, just like a proximity device going, I have been tampered with. I should be off now until someone checks me. It just seems like there's a way to fix this.
Yeah. No, well, you could just use a little light sensor.
Well, then they would cut a hole
they
where
put
it
a
is.
hole where it is.
Well,
but either way, there's some way that it can be done.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's something over the top, it's
or if you did a light sensor, it'd be a big enough one, and it's flush with the thing, so that if something fits over it, it would be recessed.
Yeah.
So this
they can make it difficult.
Right. You could.
It's a big concern. I mean, because it's part of the reason I don't even use. I haven't used an ATM in 10 years.
Go to those little ATM boxes at gas stations, the ones that are.
Yeah, those are pretty bad.
You hear the phone modem dialing up.
I haven't used ATM.
When I'm desperate, I've used them, but I definitely I practically lift up the ATM to make sure that there's not a skimmer on there.
Yeah.
No, I haven't used one. My wife does though, and so yeah, there's that. That's
right.
I'm concerned about them because she could lose her money.
Yeah. Jeez. All right. Yeah. So that's the only thing I could find. Like I said, I already had the other one, but yeah. So what's wrong. Did you have any more? Did I cut you off, Tom?
No. Well, we can actually talk about something. I just wasn't sure how much news you had, so I didn't dump it all.
Okay. Yeah.
Intel has now released some of the new drivers for the kernel integration. Did you listen to Steve Gibson's podcast on the new Intel methodologies that they're using to stop buffer overflows?
Yeah.
Yes. The ROP execution, I think is the acronym for it. Basically, if anything tries to execute beyond, it won't. So that way they can't basically do buffer overflow. So when you're writing a piece of code, you can't just force it in to jump into a next memory space. They released their Linux side for that, which I thought was kind of cool. So it's probably going to be some more insight into how that works. It's posted on GitHub under Intel's GitHub, I believe.
Awesome. So
yeah, we're going to start seeing a little bit more of that. What else was on the top of my list? So many different things. The new Apache. Apache has their new, they're finally in 1.0. It's their Cloud Connect system, which is a methodology for handling things across different cloud platforms. It's basically a standardization with Apache to have things on different servers, and you can even blend different cloud platforms together. I think it's part of the OpenStack standard.
Oh, okay.
So there's that, and LibreOffice, and I didn't get all the details on this, but they're working on their cloud version. It's going to be available with OwnCloud.
Nice.
Which was going to be forked. So that,
right.
But they're still doing the integration for all of that on there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the last thing I had in there. It's the last thing I got on my news list. I've read a few other articles, but nothing really, nothing else too deep. Yeah, batch rename. Got them all now.
All right.
And we talked a lot about the snappy stuff. So
we did.
That's going to be interesting. I probably will have to do a fresh look on the different packaging systems like that, because this really could change. Where we just don't, for majority of what we end up doing, we install the operating system and then we quit using apt-get and we quit using yum because we Flatpak or snappy the rest of the pieces together.
Right.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So does that mean that what is it, Synaptic, the package manager not package manager, but the install app that I like to use will go away?
I don't think so. I mean, Synaptic is the deb package GUI front end for apt-get.
Okay.
And I don't see that going away. I mean, if apt-get is still available, then Synaptic will still be available.
All right. Yeah. I'm holding you to that.
All right. I just saw an article, and the headline just caught my attention. It says, "Why is Docker like chicken nuggets and waffle cones?" And
Why?
apparently DockerCon 16 was in Seattle this week, and according to Keith Fulton, the CTO at ADP, Docker is a lot like chicken nuggets and waffle cones, though not necessarily eaten together at the same time. One of the world's
Well, while you do that, let me just interject something. There's a chicken and waffles is kind of a, well, Detroit. Well, it's more than just Detroit, but I've seen it chicken and waffle places in Detroit.
Yeah.
And I was at Cuzzo's yesterday for breakfast, and it's a chicken and waffle place.
Oh yeah.
I didn't eat the chicken, but I did get a waffle. It was very good. And then their biscuits. Oh my gosh, they're just to die for. They're fantastic. Anyway, all right. So go back to the waffle cones.
So microservices are awesome, like their chicken nuggets. So I guess that
was your news item.
Yeah.
Yeah. Razer has announced a VR headset that's going to use the open source. It's OS VR SDK. So it's going to compete with Oculus, and it's all open source, which is interesting. So you familiar with the Razer hardware company?
No.
They make really, really high-end, like $3,000 laptops and gaming systems.
Really?
Yeah, they make them. One of my employees has like a $120 mouse from them or something, because that's what you need to play games now. So,
right.
But the nice thing is it's only $399 for the SDK kit, the VR headset. So you're talking about a reasonably priced VR experience. I still think VR versus it's going to be more what do you call that? The mixed reality, the augmented reality is going to beat out VR because it solves the mental problem with it.
I agree. Yeah, I think AR is really going to be the thing.
Well, and I have to tell you that it doesn't beat out my $15 Google cardboard little thing. I'm not kidding you. I was on my patio a couple of days ago. I have my phone in that thing.
Yeah.
And there's a space game. I think my neighbors are thinking I was nuts. And it's got this
cardboard in your head,
all
wandering
these
around
things
the
are flying
backyard.
around, and I'm spinning around, shooting down these these spaceships, and then there's asteroids are flying by, and oh my God, it was fun. And then I put it down, and it's like, whoa,
right.
I'm gonna have to sit down.
Yeah, I get that. In the instructions it says to not use over like 15 minutes at a time, and not to be driving right afterwards.
Oh, or not to be driving while using it.
Right.
The Air Force, someone had brought it back up. If you heard about the Air Force released all the reports on VR. So they did it back when VR was expensive, and they were trying to solve the problem. And Air Force concluded the problem's unsolvable because it's a physiological brain problem that you get sick, and a big percentage of the population VR makes them ill. And they said it's the old brain that says if your eyes see something and your equilibrium does not match, you have eaten a hallucinogen, time to eject. And so that was their conclusion. They said there's simply no fixing it. A lot of people's brains are just wired that way. So it's basically you can't overcome. We have not evolved enough to put VR headsets on.
Right.
Because our equilibrium has to match what our eyes see, or we get nauseous.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people trying to fix that with maybe higher frame rates or better resolution, and that's what doesn't fix it.
That's actually what was so interesting. The Air Force released all this because they see all these companies like going, "Hey, this is really the way to go. We need more frame rate. That's why you're sick." And they're like, "No, it's much simpler than that."
Right.
Until you can make the equilibrium match the eyeballs, the human experience, the brain says you have eaten a hallucinogen. Time to
eject.
To eject.
Now, is that eject the hallucinogen?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. That's why you get sick.
Yep.
All right.
Nano's not part of GNU anymore. If you've seen that.
No.
Yeah.
That's my favorite little
it's a lot
editor.
of people's favorite.
Yeah.
So apparently GNU requires contributors and maintainers to assign copyright to non-trivial contributions, and the package maintainer says, "I don't want to." So that means he can't. He says he didn't want to, and there was no agreement on this. So that became an arguing point. So they just took it out of the GNU.
Oh yeah.
I guess it was their conclusion, and I kind of understand because Stallman's a little bit of after hearing him talk,
curmudgeon.
I didn't realize he wants the GNU public license embedded in web pages, because if you write even a small part of Java that has a function on a web page, you are writing a program, and you can't, even though it's basic, it needs to be public licensed or you shouldn't be doing it. And I'm like, where do you draw the line? You know, I know where he draws the line.
Right.
And that's just how Nano ends up not in a GNU. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Granted, the guy's very passionate and wonderful, that he's brought us this far, but there comes a point when you go, it just makes the slide bar open when they click something.
Right.
You better have that in their GNU. No, it just says move screen down 20 pixels. Do I need to? It's standardized. Yeah.
Most websites have some kind of copyright.
Yeah.
You know, and I would say it would just be under that kind of license. I don't know. But I guess because he's the GNU guy, then obviously he's pushing for it to be in the GNU license.
Yeah. So that kind of changed Nano a little bit.
Right.
I think it's one of those, we're just going to disagree right now and see how far they can take it. Because Nano's such a big project as far as usage goes. I mean, everyone uses Nano. So it's, well, I don't, but I mean, Mary does.
I use it all the time.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's easier than Vi.
It is
far easier than Emacs.
Yeah. Yes. But the reason I do Vi is because I was a AIX admin on IBM's platform.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was always there. So I forced myself to learn it, like 17 years ago. When I started.
Oh, VI?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so
that makes sense.
I've been using it that long, so I have to.
I've used VI. I mean, actually, I do like the fact they've got what is it, command mode, and then what is it? You can you hit I think it is, or something, and
for
then
interactive versus command mode.
Versus command, yeah.
One of my favorite tweets was from a programmer. It says, Vi, been using it for years. Just because I can't figure out how to exit.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, it takes how many keys to exit?
It does.
It's colon
Q or
colon WQ.
WQ to write, or just
and,
exclamation
and
point.
what about an exclamation point? Isn't
that just means quit without saving.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's.
It's funny. I have to hold my hands over the keyboard, and I can tell you the Vi command, so I can't speak them. I always got to hold my hands come above the keyboard. Oh yeah, colon Q.
Right.
That's funny.
All right, I think we covered the news.
I think we've got the news.
Yeah, no, that's all I had.
All right.
Okay, so we'll move on.
Well, and the next month is coming up here, so Mary has the convention scene.
I do.
Oh, things are happening.
They are. They're happening all over the world.
Yes.
The world, I say.
Yes.
But first, we're going to start in. Texas. Actually, we're starting in Texas.
Ooh.
Texas Linux. It got me to thinking. Once the Brexit occurred, there was now the Texit.
Yes, I've already seen that hashtag.
And I'm wondering if this occurs, if you'll need a passport to go to Texas Linux Fest.
You kind of need a passport to go to Texas, anyways.
You will.
It is a slightly different place.
But anyway, just to get back on the track.
Actually, they probably would have just an enhanced license to do it. You wouldn't have to have your. Because you want to go to Canada, you have to have your enhanced license or passport if you're driving.
You can have. You don't. I don't have an enhanced license.
You gotta get an enhanced license and a big hat.
And I don't even use it. Oh, there you go.
Or a passport, or your birth certificate.
Passport card.
Oh, is it a card now?
Yeah, it's a card.
Mine is 11 years old now, so I'm gonna have to.
It's a card.
Renew mine. And
it's a passport card.
Ooh, look at that.
Yeah, there's a chip in there, and the government automatically included an RFID safe little sleeve, which I thought was very nice.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah, that's
nice.
That's for travel in the Caribbean and Mexico and Canada. So it's just a little card. I keep it in my wallet, so on the spur of the moment, I can say, "Hey, I'm going over to Windsor and buy beer."
Yeah.
That is.
So anyway.
Yeah. Wow, and it's got a lot of data on the back.
Yeah, it does. I don't know what the heck that is, but
that's if you look at the bottom of a regular passport, that's what the
public key.
The number is.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, so there was the optical reader that you could swipe passports and would be able to read that and get your info.
Yeah.
I don't leave the country, only virtually.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, getting back to the topic of Texas Linux Fest. Texas Linux Fest is a weekend event geared toward individual users rather than those expensive multi-workday expos that might cater primarily to sponsored attendees. You know, those big enterprise conventions.
Mhm.
Whether you use free software and Linux at home, in your place of business, in your school or nonprofit, you're simply curious, Texas Linux Fest offers something for you. And that's at the Austin Convention Center on July 8th and 9th. So that sounds kind of fun. Coming up, well, actually, you know what comes before that? And you've got a week to get your tickets to go to Cape Town, South Africa, but they've got DebConf.
Ooh.
Yes, it's the International Debian Developers Conference. It's a gathering of like-minded volunteers who spend much of their time contributing to the Debian with teams of people that might not otherwise even meet. So it's a chance for all those developers to get together and talk. It says it's basically an open weekend. They also have, I think, in conjunction with it, something called Deb Camp. So it's like, I don't know, beer camp. I don't know. I think they're going to get together and talk about Debian development. But anyway, so that's in at the University of Cape Town in Cape Town, South Africa, Saturday the 2nd of July through Saturday the 9th of July. So it's a whole week of Deb Camp and DebConf.
All right.
Okay. There's a Mein Kampf joke there, but I'm not going to go there. But anyway, on July 13th through the 15th, actually, yeah, it is the 13th to the 15th, we've got LinuxCon Japan. This is and ContainerCon Japan. So this is one of those back-to-back conventions. This is at the Shinzan-so Conference Center in Tokyo, Japan. Now, LinuxCon Japan is the premier Linux conference in Asia that brings together a unique blend of core developers, administrators, users, community managers, and industry experts. So that sounds, and then this ContainerCon, you know, obviously it's going to be contributors to the Linux containers, the kernel, related projects to forge a path to continued innovation and education. So, and then in conjunction with it, they got the Automotive Linux Summit in Tokyo. So they've got a lot of stuff going on here, a lot of back-to-back conferences, at least 2 of them. And also on the conference scene, I know a couple of months ago I mentioned BSDCan. I understand that they've just released the videos from that. So the videos of, yeah, and they do that. If you go in and you Google a specific BSD convention and videos and the year, you'll get the list if they've been released. So that's really nice.
I love when they do a lot of that. I've watched, you know, stuff from the hacker conferences and things like that. I mean, that's been really valuable.
Yeah, if you can't, you know, if your budget doesn't permit you to make it or timing is not good, it's a great way to kind of see what happened and catch up on you know, the local news and other assorted information.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So that's the Linux convention scene. Well, and Linux and other things for, oh, you know, there's one more. Tech Open Air 2016. I almost forgot about it. This is an interdisciplinary technology festival, the 13th through the 15th of July in Berlin, Germany. It's Europe's leading technology festival, or interdisciplinary technology festival. What their mission is to connect, grow, and inspire the human spirit. Doesn't that sound very to go where no man has gone before? But women have been there for years. Damn it!
Is it Tech Open Air? Is that
yeah.
what it is?
It's in its 5th year. It takes place over 3 days with 150 speakers, 175 satellite events, enabling attendees to connect and learn with industry experts in Europe's startup capital. So there's inspirational storytelling, interactive forums. It's really kind of a very broad-based convention, and you know, that's in Berlin. So
is this the one that it's like you're camping and talking about tech
yes.
stuff?
I believe so, because I went to the site and I thought, wow, it looks like they're out in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
And speaking of middle of the woods, this is completely off Linux convention. Electric Forest. Have you guys ever heard of? That's happening this weekend.
What is
Is
that?
it?
Rothbury. It's a big music festival, and they kind of light up the forest. And it's very
incidents about it last year.
Very magical looking. They had incidents.
They left a mess. Apparently, yeah.
Okay.
So they're on the notice to make sure we don't we clean up the electrified forest when they're done.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
It really looks like a cool.
It is a pretty cool event.
Have you been there?
No, I have not, but I've heard about it. It looked really. I've seen like videos. So I was like, wow, it looks really awesome.
It looks very magical. It's out in the woods and just a bunch of different stages.
Yeah.
So,
Is
all right.
this their like 15th or 16th year doing it?
I think so. It used to be called Rothbury or Roxbury or whatever it was.
Rothbury. Yeah, I remember the first year they were doing that because that wasn't too far from where I used to live.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the year before I moved out here.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, I suspect that some of those folks use open source software, so that's how we'll connect it.
All right.
Okay. So that is now for real. That's the Linux convention scene for July 2016.
When's the Ohio Linux? That's in.
I think it's in October.
October. Okay.
Yeah. Late September, early October, I believe. I'm going to go. You guys going?
Yes, definitely. I'm going.
Okay.
I don't see a date. They already have a call for topics, I thought, but
and I think I think the Hyatt is the hotel, the Hyatt that I stayed at.
Yeah, you're right. They are moving it this year.
Oh, okay.
So it's not going to be in the convention center. It's going to be in the conference rooms
at the Hyatt,
attached to the Hyatt, right?
Yeah.
Which is it's that big building area between the Hyatt and the Drury.
I think so.
They have obscured the date. I don't know where the date is.
So anyway, I'm going to get my hotel room now, I think, just to get that out of the way.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah. So, all right. I think any more conventions or anything that we need to talk about?
You got them covered.
All right.
I was looking at when GERCON was to see if it conflicted with.
GERCON. Yes, that's coming up in August, isn't it?
Yes, October.
That's
October. Yeah, that's what I was trying to I thought it was in August as well, and I looked it up real quick.
And for those of you listening, GERCON was it Grand Rapids? It's kind of a hacker.
Yeah, hacker
convention in Grand Rapids.
I was looking at the ticket prices for GERCON. I didn't realize to be a speaker there, the speakers pay $31,000 to speak.
You're kidding?
Cow. Yeah, that's on their website.
Wow. That's crazy.
I've heard they've gotten huge, but I didn't realize they got that big.
Tickets are already sold out.
For
GERCON?
Attendance.
For GERCON?
Yeah, GRRCON.
They're sold out already. Wow.
Well, the
early bird tickets sold out.
You can get regular tickets that are $150 a piece.
Okay.
Or VIP.
October 7th and 8th is Ohio Linux Fest.
Where did you find that?
I'm just good at searching. I should have been a librarian.
Your Google Foo your Google Foo is strong in this one.
That's right.
What's the date of it?
It's October 7th and 8th. I found it on the hotels page.
All right.
So
that conflicts with GERCON.
Does it really?
Mm-hmm.
Directly?
Yeah.
Why those bastards?
Yeah. Well, Ohio Linux Fest is more affordable.
What's the Detroit one? What's that called?
Detroit Linux Fest.
B-Sides?
No, yeah, B-Sides.
B-Sides?
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
B-Sides Detroit.
Is that a festival?
It's a security conference.
I'll go to that one.
Really?
What
is it called? Just B as in the letter B?
B-S-I-D-E-S, Detroit.
Really? When is that?
They just have.
Maybe they're holding.
It was in July of 15. I think it was this month already. It happened.
No, did it?
Okay.
July 16th, 2016.
Yeah. So it was 2 weeks ago?
No, it's not July yet, Tony.
Oh, July. Oh, you're right.
We don't know what world you're in, Tony, but in ours, it hasn't occurred yet.
All right.
Tony's in the future.
There you go.
And it's free, but you have to get tickets ahead of time, right? RSVP.
Yeah.
I wonder if any's available.
All right. Well, let's we can figure
it
that out and move on.
All right. I think we got to wrap it up.
I think so.
All right.
So I guess it's time to go to our what?
Go to our music.
The outgoing music for this week's show.
It is by Rocco W. It's the Electric Monkey Muscles. All right.
All right.
So that's good stuff. I'll have the full song in the edited version. And we've come to the end of the show. So you've been listening to the Sunday Morning Linux Review. This was episode 198.
Snappy or flat?
Right. This is Tony Bemis.
Mary Tomich.
And Tom Lawrence.
See you next time.
You've been listening to the Sunday Morning Linux Review. If you would like more information about this or other shows, go to smlr.us. Feel free to send comments, show@smlr.us, or give us a call at 734-258-7009. I'm John Miller. If you don't like it, you can
bite my 8-bit metal ass. That's bite with a Y.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break here. So we will see you guys in a few minutes.
Up on the shoreline, getting sand in my face. I took it hard and now I'm spending my days drunk, lying around in total comfort and sin. And if you believe me, I can do it again. Sold out all my friends and then I took it easy. Everybody said they never would believe me. I paid no attention to the very end. Oh yeah, I think I started a trend. Bed close, horses running crazy out of the gates. Player haters in the meadow learning how to create. Big belly Willie said he was a man from LA. He seemed okay, and so I signed it away. Sold out all my friends and then I took it easy. Everybody said they never would believe me. I paid no attention to the very end. Oh yeah, I think I started a trend. Sold out all my friends and then I took it easy. Everybody said they never would believe me. I paid no attention to the very end. Oh yeah, I think I started a trend.
Stop calling me.
She's alone all by herself. Her body, her car's a mess. And nobody cares about a thing she says. cut your losses and pack it in. Just taking it for a spin. Just lucky you didn't wind up dead. Playing it safe wasn't good enough. Maybe once you should lose your mind. Well, it's hard to believe it sometimes, but everything's gonna work out fine. Took the chance and wrote it off, and then he called the cops and pulled no punches in his statement. It was hard to write it down. She was upside down in a busted car half off the pavement. Playing it safe wasn't good enough. Maybe once you should lose your mind. Well, it's hard to believe it sometimes, but everything's gonna work out fine. Playing it safe wasn't good enough. Maybe once you should lose your mind. Well, it's hard to believe it sometimes, but everything's gonna work out fine. Talking to strangers and going through changes in your own mind. Talking to strangers and going through changes in your own mind. Talking to strangers and going through changes in your own mind. Talking to strangers and going through changes in your own mind. On my mind. When there's no place you feel at home, and you think you'd be better off alone. When you think there's no reason to try, and you hate yourself and wanna die. When you're filled with anxiety, everyone's your enemy. When you wish you were someone else, and you wanna go out and
On that note, that's kind of a depressing song.
All right, we're back.
All right. Yeah, so we're back after our break. We have the next episode, but it's going to be kind of a interesting way we're going to record it this week.
Yeah.
So I'll let you guys explain it.
Okay. The baton has been passed to us.
Since you guys decided that's how it's going to be,
sure.
I figured you'd have better.
Yeah, and I think this is how the BSD Now podcast does it too. Is that we're gonna essentially record the shell, which is the introduction and then the outro comments for that episode. We're going to record those today, and then what Tom's going to do from the comfort of his office, he doesn't have to sit on these chairs.
Sit on this uncomfortable chair.
That's right. He is going to record the Snappy versus Flat Pack comparison, or at least your take on it, where you'll have access to a lot more information than you have here.
Yeah, I'm going to be digging in kind of deep into that topic and putting together some of my thoughts. And, like the security issue I brought up, I want to know how they address it, because maybe they have it addressed. But this, with it all being so new, but there's a lot of information released on it, I'm going to sort through, do some reading, and put together a pretty concise review of all that.
Excellent.
All right.
So that's how we'll do it. So it's going to sound like we're doing it right now, but we'll just stop and then we'll do the outro.
All right. So let's bring up the soundboard and intro.
The Sunday Morning Linux Review with Mary Tomich, Tom Lawrence, and Tony Beavis as the Beaver.
And this is episode 199.
Ooh, 199. Fresh looks. Snappy versus Flat Pack.
Yes, package management of the future.
Yes. As you heard when we lightly touched on it in our last episode, we were looking at Ubuntu's Snappy, and then also we were talking a little bit about Red Hats. I guess I'll call it Red Hats because they're the ones that are doing it. Flat Pack. So what we decided to do is to do a bit, I'm trying to put myself in there, but actually what Tom's going to be doing this episode is he's going to be doing a deep dive into both of those, and we think that you'll find it interesting, right?
Yeah. You got to get it in, because package management is important feature of Linux distribution, and there's a few different ideas out there, and let's do some comparison on them.
Cool. All right. Well, excellent. Well, take it away, Tom. Okay, so there, you got that long pause. You'll know where to cut the tape.
That's right.
What are we?
All right. Yep. And then we'll just cut back into the ending.
Wow, Tom, that was pretty interesting.
Yes.
I learned a lot from.
I had to learn a lot to put it together.
I know, but
you're a better person for it, though. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the roads that these two package approaches take over the next couple of years. So
for sure.
All right. So we're coming to the end. You've been listening to the Sunday Morning Linux Review. This was episode 199.
That's right. Snappy versus Flat Pack.
Yep.
This is Tony Beamis,
Mary Tomich,
and Tom Lawrence.
See you next time.
Wow, that was a great
show.
That was a great
Sunday Morning Linux Review. If you would like more information about this or other shows, go to smlr.us. Feel free to send comments to show@smlr.us or give us a call at 734-258-7009. I'm John Miller. If you don't like it, you can
Bite my 8-bit metal ass. That's bite with a Y.
All right, now it's time to say goodbye to the YouTube people.
That's right. So we're putting our headsets back on.
Are there some YouTube people?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for listening.
We have 3 viewers.
We've released you from your prison early. You didn't have to listen to our Fresh Looks episode, but you'll hear a very polished episode.
Yes.
That's right.
Edited.
So check out
Do entirely to Tom.
smlr.us.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Oh, and I guess YouTube knows I'm drinking beer.
Don't tell.
It's not coffee.
All right.
All right.